I told you, Guardians, this was coming. If you've been anywhere across the Destiny community for the past couple of days, you've no doubt heard from all your favorite Destiny PvP YouTubers out there about a very specific exotic weapon, a very specific exotic shotgun that they really do want nerfed right now. And I just want to say, let the record show, I told you all weeks ago, if you've been watching my live streams. First and foremost, thanks for tuning in. I really enjoy live streaming and interacting with you guys. But those of you who've been watching my live streams for the past couple of weeks will especially know that I have been saying, basically since the Season of Opulence started, that there is one particular weapon, one particular exotic weapon that is going to be nerfed. It's next on the nerf pile for PvP because of the changes that were made in the update that brought us the Season of Opulence. I am, of course, speaking about the Lord of Wolves exotic shotgun. And oh man, boys and girls, it really hurts to be right. But indeed, the Lord of Wolves is now sitting in the hot seat with calls for nerfs coming from across the board. It seems to be in everybody's targets now. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about why people want this thing nerfed right now, but for those of you who maybe haven't been keeping up with patch notes and whatnot, a few weeks ago when we first learned about some of the sandbox changes that were going to be happening to weapons and armor in the Season of Opulence, Bungie noted that they were making some specific changes to the Lord of Wolves. First and foremost, it saw a couple of PvE damage nerfs, which I was none too happy about, but there was one particular change that I said way back in my TWAB video covering this. I said that this was going to wind up making this thing even more ridiculous in PvP, and here we are. That particular change is with the Release the Wolves exotic ability on the Lord of Wolves. Now, beforehand, you used to have to get a kill. Once you got a kill, the Release the Wolves perk activated kind of like Rampage, and what Release the Wolves does is, upon being activated, you shoot a longer, more powerful burst, essentially doubling the Lord of Wolves' damage output per burst, since that burst was going to be twice as long, going to go way farther, and still deal more damage per shot. Now, the change that they made within the recent update allowed you to skip the whole getting a kill part of this ability and just activate it normally. In the same way that you would activate the abilities on the Hardlight and the Borealis, you simply hold the reload button, whatever that is for you, and then you'll automatically activate Release the Wolves. This was done because people complained about the way the perk worked beforehand, that, they wanted more control over the way Release the Wolves worked. And when I read that this was going to be the change, that you were just going to be able to activate this, I knew right from that moment, this is eventually going to be a problem in PvP, because this is a massive buff to PvP. You're essentially getting all the benefits of the Release the Wolves perk without having to do the prior work of getting a kill first. And then the rest is seemingly history. So right now, with the way the gun works, you can just whip that thing out, automatically activate Release the Wolves, and people are saying that you can get some pretty crazy long-range kills across the board. Sometimes securing a kill as far out as like 20 meters, which is well outside of the range of most other shotguns. And ultimately, that's the real benefit of the Lord of Wolves right now. It's kind of the ultimate anti-shotgun shotgun, because you can virtually shut down any other 1v1 shotgun rush in the game outside of maybe somebody who's really skilled with the Chaperone. It's just a really strong option out there right now. And a lot of people, especially on PC, are seemingly pretty upset about the usage numbers for it. I took a look at some people on console. It looks like it's not getting that much play on console. I do believe it's got a bit more recoil, and it's harder to control on console than it is on PC. But on PC, you're starting to see it pop up all over the place. And like I said before, while playing with this thing over the past couple of weeks, I knew this was going to be next on the chopping block for being nerfed because of PvP. And that bums me out. It definitely does, because I'm somebody who's loved and used Lord of Wolves basically since Forsaken came out. For those of you who are just getting a chance to see exactly how awesome this gun is now with the Release the Wolves change, surprise, surprise, it's kind of always been this good of a PvP option. The only difference beforehand was you had to secure a kill first. But there's so many benefits to the Lord of Wolves that high damage output with the Release the Wolves perk allows you basically to shut down virtually any super in the game in a burst and a half. And that really makes it a unique option for shotguns out there, since we really kind of don't have many other shotgun options, or rather any other shotgun options outside of the Legend of Acreus that allow you to shut down supers. One of my favorite things with this is for an Arc Strider to roll up on me, pop their super, and I just unload, just absolutely unload Lord of Wolves into them, and then poof, they're gone. It's definitely a good feeling weapon, but unfortunately, we're probably going to be seeing some pretty big changes coming to this sometime really soon. We actually got a response from one of Bungie's community managers, DMGO4 on Twitter, who basically stated that the team is currently looking at Lord of Wolves in the recent tuning, and that they'll get back to us on what they're going to do with it sometime later, which basically means they're going to look at usage numbers, see if it's really an outlier, and then probably nerf it straight into the ground whenever they figure something out there. And that bums me out because I'm going to make some of you mad right now. Honestly, while the Lord of Wolves is a really strong option in PvP right now, it's kind of by no means unbeatable. Now look, don't get me wrong, the Release the Wolves perk is absolutely ridiculously strong right now. If anything, if there were any change that Bungie would have to make, I would hope that it would simply either be reverting the perk to the way it worked before, so you have to get a kill and then Release the Wolves activates, or just do, I don't know, something similar where you have to get a kill first, then you can manually activate the Release the Wolves perk. I think that's it. That's the only change that should happen to this gun, and I'll explain why. The Release the Wolves perk is definitely powerful. Being able to put out that much damage across that range right off the bat is the real issue here. Nobody complained about Lord of Wolves before. Remember, it's always been this strong in PvP. You just had to get a kill before you could activate the Release the Wolves perk. And right now, it's just kind of a bit of a free kill within that close to mid-range area, all the way out to around 20 meters, although securing that kill at 20 meters requires that you land a bunch of pellets, which, believe me, is much easier said than done. You're really going to find more utility for this thing within like the 5 to 15 meter range. But it's definitely a powerful option there. Being able to erase people across the board is amazing. I would actually argue that the biggest benefit here isn't even the damage range that this thing puts out. It's just how forgiving this weapon is. Because you've got that Release the Wolves perk active, firing that extra long burst, it allows for you, if you're good, to kind of correct your shot if you happen to miss, making it so that missing that shotgun shot isn't quite the death sentence that it would be if you were using something like the Retold Tale. And ultimately, that's where you're going to find the most utility for the Lord of Wolves. I think a lot of people are complaining about this thing right now because they kind of don't really realize how to fight it. And they don't really realize how to fight it because they're fighting it like shotgun apes. If you're going to try to shotgun ape a Lord of Wolves user down, you're kind of putting yourself at a big disadvantage there because it trumps most other shotguns out there. Like I said, everything basically besides the Chaperone. But I've noticed people who use other one-shot weapons, stuff like sniper rifles or fusion rifles, aren't really having too much of a problem with the Lord of Wolves. And the reason why is because you're not going to be anywhere within the Lord of Wolves' range. You can map a Lord of Wolves user with an Erentil. You can map them with a sniper rifle. Right now, I kind of feel like a lot of people are super frustrated with the way Lord of Wolves is working because they're still playing in that sort of shotgun rush mentality where Lord of Wolves is going to be especially powerful. So, I figured rather than spend this entire video complaining about the fact that Lord of Wolves is probably going to be nerfed, I would take some time to talk about exactly how you can counter this thing out in the wilds. Despite the fact that a lot of people are currently clamoring for this thing to be disabled like the Rat King was when that was a little bit busted, it looks like that might not be happening in time for Iron Banner. So, what can you do to stay out of the Lord of Wolves' range and trump it, well, we'll say 8 times out of 10 when you encounter it? That's pretty simple. There are actually a ton of options out there that kind of dump on the Lord of Wolves. One really easy one, Merciless. The Merciless Exotic Fusion Rifle is a fantastic PvP weapon. It's got great stats, fantastic stability, and crazy range. You can map people with this thing if you're decent with a fusion rifle. And the same can kind of be said for other fusion rifles out there as well. Of course, if you've got a decently rolled Erentil, those things basically become mini sniper rifles with how much range you can get on them. And right now, you can farm up either an Erentil in the Menagerie or an Epicurean, which is the new Menagerie fusion rifle, also a fantastic anti-shotgun weapon. The number one thing is basically to stay out of shotgun range. And thankfully, there are plenty of weapons that allow you to do just that. Another great one is the Telesto. That weapon still has tons of utility all across PvP, and the mines that you set allow you to bait people around corners and just blow them sky high, whether they're using Lord of Wolves or not. The real danger with Lord of Wolves is getting caught in close quarters situations where you're not going to be able to get out of the way. But if you're fast enough, you can pretty much sidestep and dodge Lord of Wolves users pretty easily, especially if you're on PC where you have access to, some slightly faster movements than you might on console. Although again, I haven't really seen too much usage of the Lord of Wolves on console anyway because it's a much harder weapon to use there. This does seem to be another PC-centric issue. But again, there are options available to you to shut down the Lord of Wolves in encounters all across the map. So when the Iron Banner rolls around later on today, keep that in mind because there's no doubt going to be a lot of people using this shotgun in that game mode. And if they're crutching on it too hard, there are plenty of things you can do to exploit that. Stay far away, make them approach you, and either voop them away or grab yourself a trusty sniper rifle. And then you shouldn't have too much to worry about. Ultimately, this weapon probably does need a change. The way the Release the Wolves perk activates right now is a little bit too easy of a free kill. I can definitely agree with that. But when it comes to nerfs, I really do hope that Bungie doesn't take the heavy-handed approach to this. Like I said earlier, either a reversion to the way the perk works or simply adding a kill requirement before you can manually activate Release the Wolves would be an optimal solution in my opinion. But anyways, those are just some of my thoughts on the Lord of Wolves. I'm sure you're going to leave me yours down in the comment section below. Have you had a chance to play with this thing since the update went live? Do you think it's a little on the strong side? Or are you like me? Did you see this outcry for nerfs coming a mile away? Be sure to let me know how you feel down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all the latest stuff we're putting out. Iron Banner is going to be an interesting time this week. But at least people will be using the most appropriate exotic for the Iron Lords. That's it for this one. As always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians stay frosty. And fingers crossed that this thing doesn't get completely destroyed in nerfs. I'll catch you in the next one.